Hey guys, welcome back to your Lake Fork Guide. In today's video, we've got map study, tournament research, and tournament practice for Bass Champs on Toledo Bend. So here we go, guys. We're going to get ready to go fish Bass Champs on Toledo Bend. The tournament's going to be on February 13th. We will be there practicing February 4th through the 7th. Now, generally speaking, I like to do a lot of map study, a lot of research. Toledo Bend is a lake that I do have some previous knowledge on, previous experience on, but I haven't been there in several years. And so a little bit of research that I wanted to do beforehand is similar. If you guys watched our Rayburn video, this is going to be a really similar style deal to that. We did some research. Wanted to find out what type of weight is it going to take, and basically through Google searching tournament results and all that, the time of year it is and everything that's going on, I really do feel like that we're probably going to need a similar result to what we needed on Sam Rayburn. We're gonna need 20 to have a good chance at making some money. We're gonna need probably 25 to have a chance to win this thing. That's kind of what I'm thinking it's gonna take. Just based on recent tournament results, last year's tournament results along this time of year, that seems to be kind of the general line of what it takes, both on Sam Rayburn and on Toledo Bend, with the exception of every once in a while on Rayburn, something crazy happens and Derek Mundy catches 40 pounds. But other than that, that's about what it is. So that was the first thing I need to know. Second thing I need to know, current water level. Again, just Google search water level for Toledo Bend Reservoir. Water data, whatever that water data site, waterdataus.gov or something like that. Really good site, really active current water levels. Hey, Toledo Bend's low. Rayburn was low. We were there in January. Toledo's going to be low in the first part of February. It's about 4 foot low, or just under 4 foot low. And so that's going to affect some things. Now, what I'm going to do is kind of the first day, we've got about 3.5 days of practice for me. 3 days of practice. Jonathan Bowling is going to be down there with us. He's going to be helping us practice. We're going to have 2 boats going. He's bringing his boat. So I've got the advantage of having another boat to help me cover some ground. So that's great. But John's going to be there for 3 days. I'll be there for 3.5. So on the first day, what I really want to do is I just want to go fish. Not necessarily fish history, but fish areas that I'm familiar with, that I understand, that I'm a little more intimate with, that I know where the points are, where the drains are, where the creek channels are, just stuff like that. So we're also going to be very, very, very limited by the wind on our first day of practice. Now, the rest of the week, I think the wind's going to kind of let us do whatever we want to, and that's great. That's a blessing. If you're going to be down there for 3 or 4 days at Toledo Bend, 3.5 days, and only 1 day is affected by the wind, bro, you're in good shape. Like, you're in real good shape, because it doesn't take much for the wind to get out of control in Toledo and Rayburn. You guys that fish down there, y'all well know that. But it can really restrict what parts of the lake you can and can't travel in, and you can't even cross the main lake at times on Toledo Bend. It gets bad. And that first day we're going to be there, it's going to be kind of a bad day. It's going to be borderline unnavigable going across the main lake, probably with the winds that are forecasted. So we're going to head down there. We're going to fish that first day, and I've got a couple areas that I can launch in. We're actually going to start in Carice Creek is where we're going to start. I'm going to start and look there. The reason I'm picking Carice Creek is, Rayburn and Toledo are so massive, so massive. So for me, being a guy who hasn't been there in a few years and doesn't just have an overwhelming amount of experience on Toledo Bend by any means, I've probably been on the lake somewhere between half a dozen to a dozen trips over my lifetime. So been down there, but usually during the spring. Never seen it low. It's always been at full pool or higher. So that's going to be a little different. But one thing I like about Carice Creek, A, there's a ramp right there. It's going to be protected from the wind on that first day. B, Carice Creek's a little bit got some variety in it. Carice Creek typically has quite a bit of vegetation in it. If the water was full, it would have a lot of flooded buckbrush and bushes and laydowns and stuff like that I know of. But there's still, if there's some early spawners, and that's what I'm kind of thinking. I'm thinking that these water temps, as we get into February, we've had some warm weather in January. I'm thinking these water temps are going to have to be at least mid to upper 50s, maybe even 60 once we get down there. So I'm really thinking might be some early spawning activity. For sure, there'll be a lot of staging fish. And Carice Creek is cool because there's a bridge at the mouth of it that creates a natural funnel point that fish have to go through. There's also a roadbed right in front of that bridge at the mouth of the creek that has an awesome underwater bridge structure on it. So you got a perfect, just, I mean, as good as it gets, funneling point staging area for fish moving into that pocket to spawn. Crease will tend to warm early. It's got in the backs of the two sides of Crease, it has some really, really shallow expansive flats that will tend to warm up early. And like I said, typically have grass in them. So I can kind of check both ends of that. The early spawners and the staging fish, all real quick, all in just part of one day. And we can also, we're probably going to trailer around that first day as well. So I'll tell you what, that's kind of the extent of my preparation. I'm not really going to do a lot of map study. I'm going to go to an area that I'm familiar with, and then we're going to do more map study after day one, going into day two of practice. So right now, let's get on the water for day one. Let's go see what Crease Creek and what Toledo Bend has to offer under some challenging wind conditions. Let's go see what we can do.
J-Bo, let me see what you got there. Well, now we're even.
Yep, we're even now.
We're even on Southeast Texas lakes on our trips now. Good job, Han. Oh, right at the boat. John. There was a boat idling right behind me. I mean, right behind me. So I had to, we're pre-fishing for a tournament. There's a big tournament out here tomorrow, folks. And then we got a week later tournament, or big tournament out here this weekend. There you go. Probably not gonna help much. Sucker's mad. Good night. That's kind of a good one. That's a lot bigger fish than I thought it was. That one be good. That's a solid keeper right there. Man, these fish are up here acting like spawning fish, y'all. I know it's early February right now, but it's like February 4th. But yeah, it's February 4th. Give me an ear scratch. First day of pre-fishing, they up here acting like they spawning in here. I'm literally just flipping really shallow. You'll see flooded cover behind me, just spawning type of cover. I'm looking around for beds when I can, but I've really cloudy day. I can't see very good. Tomorrow will be sunny, so I'll be able to look and see if they're on beds better tomorrow. But right now, just getting some bites flipping shallow, kind of obvious looking stuff on February 4th. It's weird.
So that was the action from day one on my boat, unfortunately. So let me summarize up what happened. We started out on Crease. John caught one. I caught one at the roadbed, not big ones. But hey, we were off to a start. Went back into Crease. There was no grass. I actually found some warm water, some 60-degree water back in there. No grass. And I mean zero grass. Not a stitch. There was some little real thin leaves. Like, I shouldn't say no grass. There was some little thin-leafed, what I always call stink grass. I don't know what it's called. I don't ever really catch a whole lot of fish out of it real well. Certainly not nearly as good as hydrilla or coontail. But it was in such shallow water. I mean, I couldn't hardly get my boat back into that, back in there. So, Crease didn't work out. Didn't look right. Didn't look good. You know, there was some stuff kind of out in the middle of it. Some bushes, some flooded bushes that were maybe laydowns, brush piles, whatever. That we fished a little bit but didn't get any bites. Fished in there quite a while and just didn't work out. So, pack up, leave Crease, trailer over to the other side of the lake. I don't even know the name of the creek, but the last two fish you saw me catch, the little bitty one and the good one, I caught up on the bank in another creek that I can't even tell you what the name of it is. It's on the Louisiana side just north of the Pendleton Bridge. Now, what also happened that afternoon is Jonathan Boland was in that same creek a couple of pockets over from me, and he found a shallow point. It was kind of a unique shallow point for that area. There wasn't really another one that set up exactly like it. It was in a pocket. It wasn't all the way in the back. It's a shallow point that extended out real far into the pocket. And he told me about it, and he caught some fish on it. He actually ended up catching 7 fish off this one point throughout 2 different trips that he made to go fish that point while he was fishing around in there. Most of these fish were small. He said he caught one good, like 3 to 4 pounder, but most of the fish he caught were small. But he caught 7 bites on a day that, honestly, we were struggling our butts off. So we make our way, or I made my way over to it to fish it a little bit and check it out. Threw a Carolina rig up there, drug it so I could feel it real good. And the key component was the little tiny, he was getting all his bites in one little tiny spot on this point. Man, it was super hard, super chunky. It honestly, to me, felt like a shell bed, just like we fish on Lake Fork. In fact, there was even a loon that was hanging around that John told me had been hanging around there all afternoon. So the light bulbs were going off. The other thing that happened was when we got to the cabin that night, as we were sitting there talking about what we found that day, the 10-day forecast reached the Saturday, February 13th of the tournament date. Now that 10-day forecast was forecasting morning temps in the 20s that Saturday morning, highs in the low 30s. That's obviously going to take fish that are on the bank spawning and going to pull them off. And even if they stay around or close to it, they're going to be so hard to catch. It's going to be virtually impossible to catch those fish that are relating to the bank already. They're either going to move completely out of there, or if they don't, they're just not going to bite. So now in my head, like basically, I'm on a lake that I might as well have never been to, because I've never fished Toledo Bend when it's low. I've always fished grass at Toledo Bend. I got 180,000 acres. That's how big Toledo Bend is, 180,000 acres. Huge lake. That I've never seen before, that I have no information on, I have no reports on, I'm just blind on 180,000 acres. And once I saw this forecast, I'm like, okay, that back of the pocket deal, it's too hard to find grass. This is too big of a lake. There's probably grass somewhere, but I can't go look for it and maybe not find it and then have nothing come tournament day. John getting those bites on that point was like, hey, that's a shallow point, probably a shell bed, feels like a shell bed, looks like a shell bed, acts like it. Let's see if we can duplicate that. So I went to work doing some research, trying to look for more shallow points. One other thing I did is I wanted some spots very, very close to our launch ramp. We're launching from Cypress Bend public ramp right there at Cypress Bend Park for the tournament day. So I want to find some stuff very close to that. With the morning temps being 20 degrees, let's be honest, I don't want to run 30, 45 minutes an hour like sometimes you have to on Toledo Bend. It's so big in that kind of weather. The other reason it's good to find something close to the launch ramp on Toledo Bend is the wind factor. If the wind gets up where you can't really travel, Bass Champs it takes pretty extreme conditions for Bass Champs to do trailering events. So that being considered, I also want to have spots close to the ramp so that if the wind gets up, I can get to my fish. So we went to look on the computer, went to researching, and I'm going to show you guys what we did on the computer and show you guys what we found leading into day 2 of practice right now. So the first thing I did was pull out the Navionics web app. This is, to me, like the best online research tool that you can use at home, and it's great. Now, right here is Cypress Bend Park. That's where we're going to be launching from in the tournament. And as you look right here, you can kind of see a little shallow point jumping out here. You can see big, broad shallow point here. There's all kinds of little points right here by the ramp. So as I go into this and I'm trying to duplicate this shallow point pattern, man, this is like striking gold right here, having all these points right here that I can now go run all this stuff real quick and efficiently and figure out pretty quick, is this pattern going to be repeatable, especially right around our launch area, which is what we've got our fingers crossed and we're hoping for. Now, the other tool that I quickly pulled out and started using while I was doing my research was simply Google Maps. Google Earth actually showed Toledo Bend at full pool, but for whatever reason, Google Maps has Toledo Bend at a lower water level than it even is at right now. So this works out really well for this because, as you can see, here's Cypress Bend Park on the map, on the Navionics, and here's Cypress Bend Park on Google Maps. Well, this first point right here shows up as a small, shallow point. This one right here is what I'm referring to. Well, if we zoom in on that point on Google Maps, boy, you can see plain as day that shallow point because the shoreline's actually up here, guys. So that is that shallow, narrow point running out. If you zoom in all the way, and I don't know how well it'll show up on here, you can even see that brighter white spot right there. That's the hardest part of that shell. Now, this was the first one I pulled up on that next day. Really good spot. We had some bad weather today. We had some rain, but a really interesting spot to observe. As we looked right over here, there was one that got pretty narrow and extended out there pretty shallow as well. And that's going to be this point right here. Now, you keep in mind, it says 8 right here, but the lake's 4 foot low. So this is really only 4, and this is like 5 all the way out to here. So that's a pretty good shallow point extending out right there. And sure enough, when I pull it up on Google Maps, on my phone, you can see that shallow point extending out under the water with this low water map that I have. So once I located these handful of spots, I had something that I wanted to run, I wanted to test on the second day. Now, I also didn't want to totally cut off the shallow water deal just yet, because somehow in my mind, I needed to fish out a little bit more, just because I wanted to just make sure that I couldn't find some grass and some areas. I couldn't get to very many places the first day, like we said, because of wind. So I actually spent the first part of my day, first several hours, first half, majority of my day, running more shallow water, looking for more grass, because I was so restricted on day one as to where I could go. But in the back of my mind, I knew I was going to end up over there around Cypress Bend. I knew I was going to end up fishing those shallow points and looking for some fish on those and really trying to break those down and repeat that pattern that John had found at the end of day one.
So we got some challenges today. We got rain, so I haven't been having the cameras out. But we're fishing that shallow point pattern we talked about in the research. That's not what we're looking for. That is a Kentucky spotted bass. Good news is there's no minimum in the state of Texas, so I think that's a keeper for our tournament next week. Probably won't get us a check though, so hopefully this point's not just covered up with spotted bass, but I just caught, and that might be the first spotted bass I've ever caught out of Toledo Bend. But the first shallow point we pulled up on, I've been seeing a few fish swim around on it as I kind of checked it out with my electronics, and a loon just pulled up here and dove on it. So you guys know from our Lake Fork deal, those loons can be a key deal when you're looking at shallow points. So hey, we might have something. No, that's only been like 4 minutes since our last bite. That was a bite. Surely you guys saw the rod jump right there, but that was for sure a bite. So I have a little something figured out on the shallow point deal now. Like I said, it's crazy weather next week. I don't know how we're going to catch them on it, but all I can do is find fish. I don't really know what else to do other than just find fish with what I got right now. We're going to have a total drastic change and just hope I can grind out 5 next week. I don't know. Oh, come off. It's not going well, folks. It's not going well. Maybe we can get, listen, down there at Rayburn, we caught some good ones in practice, and then tournament day was terrible. And I know the conditions are going to suck for this tournament. It's going to be, like, the forecast holds up, conditions are going to be insanely tough. But maybe we can get all of our boo-boos out of the way in this one. Because so far, first couple days I've spent on the water out here, me and John, it's not going real well. It's not going real well for you boys. Maybe we can get all the boo-boos out of the way and tournament will go peachy keen. I really do like this spot though. You guys saw me catch that little one and miss that one earlier, and you saw me miss another one, and I really like it because we take off from that pavilion you see behind me right there. So if it's gonna be 20 degrees at takeoff, it'd be nice to only have to go here. I'm just saying. How in the what the hell? It doesn't even make any sense. Oh God. Must be more of them stupid little spotted bass. I'm gonna oh. Yeah, the tail of the bait. I can assure you that, folks at home. Let me show you how I know. I'm missing one of my tails and one of my flippers on the back. Well, folks, I believe that is going to do it for us. Whew. It shouldn't be this tough. The water temps aren't that cold. The conditions aren't that bad. I'm just chalking it up to I just ain't doing something right. I've got 2 more days to try and figure this deal out. Really about a day and a half. I can't stay all day on Sunday, but got about a day and a half. Really, tomorrow's the last day. I've got the weather that we've got coming is so extreme, so drastic for this area. and for how far along the fish already are, because things have been warm, and then it's going to turn around and shock them. It's just, man, it's a lot to take in, a lot to consider. So I'm not fishing areas. Like right now, I really feel like I should be doing what you guys saw me doing earlier in the video when I was up shallow flipping, fish looking to get ready to spawn. Stuff like that I feel better about doing right now, but I'm trying to prepare for this tournament. So I'm trying to fish, as you can see, main lake oriented. We just got a little point right here. It's a shell bed. And I don't know that that's really done on Toledo Bend. I'm sure some people are doing it, but I haven't seen anybody else running these little shell bed type areas today. And John caught some yesterday on a shell bed type of point. So we've got that going, and I don't think anybody else is doing that. And that is something that I feel like might actually hold up for us and get us a few key bites and maybe get us some big bites during that event, despite what the weather's going to do. So right now, that's the plan. We got one more full day, which you guys will see in the next video, where I'm just going to run everything, man. I'm going to run all over this thing, probably burn a whole tank of gas out of my boat that day, and try to find as many of these type of areas as I can, see if we can catch some in that video as well. That's what we got planned coming up. Today was what today was. Very tough. Pretty decent backdrop, though. That's what I mean, dude. Like, even when my job sucks, it's pretty freaking cool. It's an awesome life that I live, and this is a grind, and I'm stressed, and I'm spinning out about this. But several times throughout the day today, I just have these moments. Every day of my life, I have these moments where I just look around and I'm like, is this really what I do every day? It blows my mind, man. And I sincerely wish that for each and every one of y'all out there, man. I hope y'all can find something and get an opportunity to do something in your life that makes you feel as blessed as I feel every day when I'm out here. So thanks for watching as always, man. Hog wall on the Carolina rig's been the key bait so far, and the hog wall of flipping up shallow when we were doing that. So we'll see how it pans out tomorrow. You guys come back and watch the next video from old Toledo Bend, down here at the Bend, trying to get ready for Bass Champs. Appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next time right here. Exactly what I thought it was. Spotted bass. Yeah. Made a couple more casts as the sun is setting. We're just about out of light. And that would actually maybe keep. Can y'all even see me right now? I don't know if y'all can even see anything right now. GoPros aren't exactly known for having the best low light views, but there's a bass. Let's see how long he is. Oh yeah. He's an old 15-incher. Fat too. That's a decent keeper right there. Let's go. Y'all can see me in the light of the graph. Pretty solid keeper right there. That's a good one. That's a chunk. Hey, next week's conditions, we'll take that. I knew it was going down on this point. It's just going down at the same time the sun is, apparently, which is way too late for tournament hours, but it just shows us what's here. And I started fishing that Carolina rig faster. And when I started fishing it faster, they started biting it and holding it. Might be starting. I thought the video was over. I did the outro already, and here we are catching fish, so I don't know. All right, this time I'm really leaving y'all. Hey, I appreciate y'all staying through the first outro to actually watch us catch a few more fish, actually get a few bites there in a hurry, man. Them shad pull up on that point, and it kind of, you know, smaller fish, but it went down bite-wise there for a little while, so that was a great way to end the day. And so is that. Like I said earlier, man, I love my life. I love my life, and I wish nothing more than for each one of you to have the same feeling I have on a dang near daily basis. It's a pretty awesome ride I'm on. I'm very happy that I get to take y'all along with the small parts of it that I do, and I hope that y'all enjoy it. Thanks for watching, man. We'll see you next time right here on your Lake Fork Guide.